everyone and welcome to another video. So today, as promised, we're going to be taking a look at the Motorola Moto E7i Power. Obviously it's not in a sealed box and it's falling out. It's not in a sealed box. I bought it online on eBay, of course, used, barely used, for £60 I believe, or £58, something like that. They tend to go new for about £75–80. And the guy had only used it for 2 weeks, so we got a pretty good deal. I've had a look at it. It's basically in brand new condition. It's a good phone, condition-wise, but we're going to get into whether it's a good phone to use or not in this video. That's exactly what we're going to be having a look at. So I've not done an in-depth review, but I want to show you things like the speed of it, what the camera's like, and just the general usability of the phone, especially considering what the specifications are on the phone. So I'm going to give you a quick walkthrough on the device specifications, and then we'll have a look at the phone itself firsthand. So we're going to do a quick walkthrough on the device specifications. I've just put some specs here so we can go through them. So it's a Unisoc processor. I've not heard of Unisoc processors, but I'm not very educated when it comes to mobile processors anyway. We've got a 1.2 GHz clock speed, which isn't that fast, but we have got 8 cores. We've got 2 GB of RAM and 32 GB of storage. We've got an LCD display, which is 6.5 inches and only 720p. So with the 6.5 inch display and 720p, it's not exactly going to be looking like the best out there, but I'm sure it will be usable. We'll take an in-depth look at that. And the battery is the main thing about this phone. It's the thing that they plaster on the front of the the little label that they put on it. So its specs aren't too bad. We've got, basically they're not too bad for 70 quid, or the 50 quid I paid for it. So let's take a little look at this phone. Right, so let's get talking about design. So the back of the phone looks nice, camera positioning's good, fingerprint positioning's good, and I love this colour. It's actually a really nice colour and I quite like it. There is, however, no way you can get away from the size of the phone. If you like this sort of thing, then that's absolutely fine. If you like big phablet phones, cool. But it is a big phone at 6.5 inch display. Here's it next to an iPhone 7. It makes the iPhone 7 look small. It's quite a slim phone. Here's it once again next to an iPhone 7. You can see how slim it is. It's quite slim, but it's also not exactly the slimmest phone out. But actually for a phone with a 5 amp battery, it's quite slim and light. It does feature one of those teardrop cameras seen on literally every single fucking budget smartphone that's ever come out in the past 3 years, but oh well, it's alright, I guess. It has a redeeming feature, however. A lot of phones that are between £50 and £70 still ship with a micro USB. This is USB Type-C, which is brilliant, supports fast charging, which might come in handy when you've got a 5000 mAh battery. You've got big capacity and fast charging. Those two will go together really nicely to create a nice experience. It's a good job that we're moving to USB Type-C and ditching micro USB, so I'm happy about that. Okay, so now we've gone over my first impressions of the Motorola. It's a nice phone, you know. It's a nice colour, especially for this. The rear design looks nice. You got the speaker here, but you don't actually tend to cover it very easily. Normally on the back you do, but because it's not on this side, you don't actually cover it with your fingers, so it's okay. Although I would have preferred to see the speakers down here, to be honest. You know, for £50 I paid for it, I'm not complaining. Just like I can't complain about the teardrop camera. At least we're getting an ultra-wide screen at the end of the day, because you're definitely not getting that on an iPhone 7. So yeah, we've got a fingerprint scanner in a good position, pretty natural position. We've got a good camera position. We've got good button positions as well. The power button is textured, so you can feel it. Basically, you don't have to look at it. And then we've got some button here, which I'm pretty sure is programmable, and we've got volume buttons and your SIM card right here. So it's all pretty logically laid out. Microphones down there. Yeah, it all looks alright. So that's my first impressions of it. Now let's get into things more in depth. Let's test out the camera and have a look and see how good the 720p screen is, and see, you know, just the features of the phone. So let's get into it. Okay, so let's see what the screen looks like. This is a 720p panel. However, if we have a look and see what resolutions it supports on YouTube, you can select up to, I think, 1080p. And if we go on a 4K video later, we can see if it'll give us a 4K option. But obviously what you're seeing won't be 4K. But it just means that it will be streaming from the highest quality from YouTube. So yeah, the screen looks sharp, it's got good viewing angles, and it's not too fuzzy or blurry or pixely, and the speakers. This is on full volume. Build update. It's finished. I finished it. I didn't bother putting a dedicated GPU in it. Couldn't be asked. The same PSU. It probably sounds a lot worse when I'm recording it on my phone camera, of course, but it distorts a little bit when it is on full volume, but actually it's perfectly usable. It's not horrible or harsh to the ears, and I have heard some phones that are horrible and harsh to the ears. So this isn't too bad. It is doable. So now we're going to talk about the camera. Here's a picture that the camera took. It doesn't look that great. The high dynamic range just doesn't exist. Although it says it's got HDR, the dynamic range is just shocking. It can't do HDR. But yeah, it's just a basic camera. I'm going to show you some videos and some pictures I took with it. It just doesn't look that great, if I'm honest. Here's it in better lighting conditions. I mean, it's much more doable in better lighting conditions. It picks up a decent amount of detail and doesn't look terrible, although, once again, it's still just a basic camera. Okay, here's a test of the front camera. Front-facing camera, just doing a little selfie video here with it, and I'm testing out the microphone on it. I have a feeling the microphone's not going to be that great either. Front camera, although it is, you can see, and it's perfectly fine for things like video calls. You really wouldn't want to be recording YouTube videos with this sort of quality. It looks like a tablet from 2015, if I'm perfectly honest. But it's alright for the odd selfie that you're going to post onto Instagram or Facebook, and it does work at the end of the day. Okay, here's a video I recorded in my garden testing out the camera. It looked okay on the phone. It looks like shit on my computer screen, I can't lie. That's really disappointing. Okay, so now we've talked about the overall features of the phone, and let's have a look at the usability of the phone and what it's like to use in general. I've been using it this week. I have been going on YouTube on it, using Instagram on it. It has crashed a couple times, which is annoying, but it's not a frequent thing, it's an occasional thing. But nevertheless, it's a frustrating thing. So it is quite fast, just flicking through as well, it's responsive. Let's see how fast something like YouTube will load up. It's going to take a little while, but it's also not going to take that long. And once you get onto YouTube, it is still reasonably smooth. So yeah, I've got no complaints as much as the fluidity of using the device, especially for the price, but at the same time it is no super phone, it is no flagship, it is no iPhone, it is slower. It is in fact slower than an iPhone 7, which is an old phone at this point. The reason I keep comparing it to the iPhone 7 is because, say for instance, you can pick this up for 80 quid new, you can also pick this up for 80 quid used if you find a good deal. So this is why I'm comparing the two, although they're in completely different ages, completely different categories. This is a flagship phone, this is not, this is an iPhone, this is not, this is an old phone, this is not, there's plenty of things I can go on about it. And at least the thing's got a headphone jack, I guess, but like, there are actually more advantages I can see to having a phone like this than I can having a phone like that. However, if iOS is not your thing and you don't want to go anywhere near iPhones, this is definitely a good option, especially compared to a lot of the phones that are out there for the similar price. A lot of Android phones at the similar price of this are just horrible, whereas this is okay. This is an alright phone, and it works. It works well for the price. It won't blow you away, but if you're just looking for a basic Android smartphone, you really can't go wrong with it. You might get, annoyed with it every now and again, because that tends to be a thing that comes with having an Android, to be fair. And I have given flagship Androids a chance too. And as much as they are good phones, they're great phones, they can be frustrating sometimes with just the issues that they have sometimes, and this is not exempt from them. And the fact that it's got cheaper hardware in it does amplify these issues. I'd just like to also point out the fact that I'm not an Apple shill. I have been making a lot of references to iPhones in this video, but I'm not an Apple shill. The iPhone 7 has its big flaws, my XR has its flaws, and I do use iPhones now. However, before the XR I had a Galaxy S8, and really did like using that phone. It was a really nice phone. The design of it was fantastic, small, light, fast charging, great camera. Android phones really can be great phones. I had an Alcatel K7 before that. It's like just above £100 for one of those phones. But I bought it because it had a 10 amp battery, 10,000 milliamp hour. This one's got half that, and that phone could I'd charge it every 3 days. It was brilliant. But every time the downside of that is you go around saying, oh look, my phone never dies, and then your battery does die eventually, and you'll have everyone take the piss at you. But yeah, that's the problems I had with that phone, and apart from that I had none. Androids can be great phones, but there tends to be more issues when it comes to Android phones because there are so many of them, and because there are so many different Android phones, and there's so many varieties of hardware and different softwares that comes with Android, whereas I always find that iOS just works the way I want it to every time. And that's just me. Other people may not agree. Other people may have bigger priorities than me when it comes to phone, different priorities, and that is what it is. But this is my opinion. This is a good phone. If you're looking for a £60–70 phone, this is a perfect option. If you're looking for a big screen and big battery life and cameras and all these fancy features, is not your priority, especially if you're wanting a headphone jack. If you're wanting a headphone jack and a big battery, a decent big screen, you can't go wrong with the Motorola e7i. However, if you were looking for just more of a budget, nice and friendly phone to use, I recommend picking one of these up refurbished iPhone 7s, and I mean refurbished A+ condition. Do not pick up one of the... They are a lot more expensive, but I believe it's worth paying the price. Just putting that out there, this is not a similar price. This is above £100 most of the time. However, get an A+ condition one of these so that the battery health is above 90%, because you're going to want it. But apart from that, this is a good phone to use in general. This is a phone if what it's got is what you're looking for. So thank you very much for watching this video. I'm going to head off, make a cup of tea now, because I've finished my Coke. Well, I will have in a minute. And I'm going to wash it down with a cup of tea. So thank you very much for watching, and go away. I just got a Discord notification, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.